Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I'm coming here because these two lights are, you're almost invisible from that side, so it's better here. Now, we will open the floor. I have taken permission from the anchor of this program that we can go 10 minutes more, because I guess we started about 10-15 minutes late, around 2:10 or 2:15. So we have about 15 to 20 minutes for, whatever the monologue from us, from this side you heard. If you really can find faults with us, and particularly with me, that we talk more about economy, circular economy, sustainability, biodiversity, but do nothing. So if somebody is doing something, please tell us, or whether this will remain a talk and talk and talk. I mean, so far as India is concerned, I think we are already a culture, where we don't waste it at all. We don't waste at all. I mean, Mr. Kalra was telling, the cloth and so on and so forth. There are umpteen examples. But if it goes to the absolute terms, 1.4 billion people multiplied by even 4 tons of resource being used, it's huge. So that puts the question mark. So in per capita terms, we are very comfortable, talking about Sweden, Scandinavian countries or Australia doesn't help us here. But if you multiply by their use of resource by 10 or 20, by 10 times or 15 times than us, then that population, what the population of India, that we add in 1 year is the population of Australia. But if you go by the consumption, like US, 5% of the area they have on earth consume 25% of the world. They are nowhere there. They are not in CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity. They are out from the climate change. For US, circular economy or any sustainability is for 8 years. The 8 year is the maximum term of a president of the US. In our country, it's 5 years. And in many places, beyond 5 years, ecology can't be talked about 5 years. So please, floor is open. I think I have stirred the hornet's nest. Please, if you have something to suggest that yes, we are on towards circular economy, and we are practicing. Our boards keep on discussing this. When it comes to environmental clearance, we take it very seriously. We comply with each and every condition of the environmental clearance and do our best. So if you are doing this, I'll be very glad to hear this. Floor is open, please. Questions to me, to any of the panelists or anybody. Otherwise, I'll be talking for 20 minutes, so we will not end here. Yeah, please. See again this. Yeah. Please introduce yourself and yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anushka Tyagi. I'm a student from Amity University. My question is to Ravi, sir. I would like to say that with our lives becoming more centralized and families becoming nuclear, we are completely ignoring the fact that along with humans, there live animals too. With the vanishing of the natural ponds, lakes and river, the way we talked about river Yamuna and other natural landscape being lost, what role can WWF play in restoring the natural animals' life, and especially of the cows, who are found near the dustbins eating huge polythene bags in search of even water in the scorching sun in Delhi? Thank you.
Take the mic.
I can't see you, so I'll stand here. And,
there.
Thank you for the question. So there are 2 parts. Now, one you mentioned about water, river Jamuna, wildlife, animals. I spoke a bit about the development of the human mind in terms of what we started out at and now what we are thinking from an industrial revolution, now thinking largely about the planet. Now, once that thinking moves forward, not just in India but globally, and to some extent it is also leveraged and signified by the cultural background and heritage of our country, then there is a larger improvement of these things for our planet. Therefore, the word circular in that sense. The first application of circular economy for Delhi, for instance, would be for its landfills and for the river Jamna. And you heard the memory of Mr. Kalra when he said the river used to be like that and we could walk across it and swim across it and there were fish and all that. Not so far back there were accidents because mugger or crocodile used to take people who were fishing in this area. So there's a huge change that we have seen. And how we can make that not nearly pristine, but certainly make a better way to do this is that groups of people and units of residents and industries enforce their own systems according to a larger standard so that they prevent or they capture some of the waste that they're undertaking here. So that's one part of it. The way we are living currently, we will not be able to see the Jamna as it was, no matter how pristine, how holy, how spiritual, etc. it is. But there are ways. And even if we try through the pollution controls and the 17 or 19 plants that are not working at this time, even if we try to make them 100%, we'll certainly make a bigger change than this. I'll come to the second part, but just want to tell you, since many people are here, somewhere near Mathura, because of the way the river meanders, and because of subterranean water that comes in, there are parts of Mathura where the river cleans itself up. And some places where hand pumps close to the river are potable for drinking. So something is happening in the ecosystem which we haven't understood it. And there is fish which you can see and you can still swim in it, despite what you see in Delhi. So we still have to go to understand how that can happen and bring it in. The second part you mentioned about, cattle and cow and, which has become a sensitive subject for many reasons. Delhi has its rules, by the way. It has its rules of keeping these animals in a confined area. It has rules with regard to how they have to be treated and licensed. And if you really segregate them, the numbers may not be that much as it seems to be at this point of time. And there are other reasons. They are spreading disease because they're not looked after. And human beings may also be recipients of those maladies as well. Now, it is not difficult for us to manage those populations in a way that they're segregated, they're kept happy. Sometimes they're used for whatever purposes they were used for earlier. Plows have gone out, bullock carts are very few now. But maybe we can have some kind of a sustainable form of transportation where we do use these traditional methods. It's not something that we should wish away. And you spoke about life of animals and conservation and all that. This is a very deep and serious thing. Mr. Him Pandey was talking about this. Is the value of biodiversity is not really understood by many of us. And the chain and all this thing about food chain and all that. Everything living, which is part of our philosophy in India, has a role to play in this. And the way we are trying to now fashion our industry to understand and do that through instruments such as the IBBI, which was mentioned here, gives us a way to find solutions in that consciousness. And in that, I can assure you, human beings, River Jamna, and the cows will be happy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, please.
First of all, I would like to thank all of you to give your perspectives on circular economy and biodiversity. Well, I'm a filmmaker. I make independent films. And so I cover a lot of areas. What I'm seeing in India for a very long time, that biodiversity in living things and non-living things, both are vanishing. If you look at the buildings, if you look at the car designs, if you look at the designs, we see nowadays houses starts looking like plain Jane hospitals. And more corporate houses are having glass ceilings and the glass windows, which are very illogical in a country, tropical country like India, where we already have so much heat. And so I think when we talk of sustainability, it has to start from micro to macro level. And how, because what I see, it is vanishing, then we have already started thinking in a very, mass production ways. Our designs are such that we are taking designs from Germany, from European countries, whose climate is different from us. So, in schools and colleges, we are being taught the same kind of designs, the same way of thinking. So how can we change that? That is my question.
Will anybody would like to answer this, or good observation?
Yeah. I heard the copying of German design, yes. But you have a number of examples also from Germany, how a green architecture could look like. There was even a very famous architect sometime from Austria, Hundertwasser, who constructed houses, high houses, where the walls were all over covered with plants. But unfortunately, this kind of architectural proposal is not being taken up, and we are constructing completely utilitarian buildings that only serve one purpose, but not making the multi-purpose contribution that houses can do to sustainable urban development a reality. So the next step we are doing, we are putting solar panels on the roof. That's definitely progress, but it would be important also to change the way how we construct so that we minimize even the use of energy, and not only saying that since we have renewable energy, we don't have to care much about the question of reducing the volumes that we need.
Thank you so much. In fact, very good question. And you said you are in filmmaking, you are from media. Media has a huge role to communicate. I mean, there are quite a few scientists here. Dr. Rastogi, I know for sure from the ministry, and there are many others. There's a huge gap between what science says and communicates. See, the problem of nature's capital is communicating. How do you communicate? See, the termite mound. I think many of you might be knowing have you ever seen a termite mound? Because, the young lady from MIT, have you seen a termite mound? Have you seen? What does it do? I mean, an office building in Harare in Zimbabwe is exactly on that line. One or two are here in India also. But, those are only, as I said, islands of, excellence, islands of, best practices. We need to replicate. If the filmmaker can show how all the time, whether it's 45 degrees or 2 degrees, temperature inside a termite mound is always 23 degrees centigrade. Nature is an immense, but we have neglected nature forever. We don't even know how to communicate. Only in these rooms or, maybe in the classrooms. Now, ecosystem word, I read it when I was doing graduation, late 70s, early 70s. I think children these days are learning about food chain, food web, interconnectedness among life forms, their interaction with non-living, how the ecosystem services are coming, how we get water, how water gets recycled, and things like that. This is in the book. But unless, these services are communicated through the media of film, I would love the prime time television only talks about ecosystem services, talks about circular economy, not those kind of political debates which, are so, it's my personal view. So can media people take that challenge? Even boardrooms don't discuss about circular economy, forget about, anything. CII is doing once in a year this bit. I would like them to discuss it every day. And the companies should be rated on that basis. It's high time. When we are pushed to the wall, then we talk about, these kind of things that we should grow holistically, we should be good every time. It's not, we are almost, I think you might have seen a session about Himalayas. I think we are at the mercy of we human beings, the Homo sapiens. Better we learn, other species are looking for mercy from us, And almost half the food, 40% of the food goes waste in countries like ours, and almost the same percentage goes waste in countries of Dr. Conrad, in developed countries. So we need to do something. Yes, I see a hand. Please. Microphone, please. Mic there. Next, is there any next? Yeah, 2. Is there any one more?
Hello.
We have another 5 minutes.
It's
Thank
okay?
you. Yeah, please.
Sound is okay? Okay, fine. I am from Delhi University. I teach there. And my question is to you, sir, Mr. Pandey. See, I'm just in a way adding also to what has already been said by that lady over there. Look at Delhi, a nice place to live in 50 years back. Look at it now. There is something wrong with how our legislation is brought about because of the politics of the day. I have been living in Delhi and I find it, look at the housing aspect, look at how the regulations have been changed to 1+3 pattern. And this 1+3 pattern is killing biodiversity in the whole of Delhi. Every street in Delhi is now becoming a concrete jungle, manifestation of concrete jungle. And you talk about biodiversity, nothing will remain if our regulations, laws do not first understand it and there is enforcement it. Why do we bring about these kind of changes? Complete disregard of biodiversity in Delhi. Right, sir? Your comments.
Thank you. Thank you. That's my worry. Who will bell the cat? Government? I think we have the best of the laws on earth. If we talk about I have been in the Ministry of Environment for 8 years, and I know the best of the laws. Now, who will comply with the laws? Ministry, the government? There's a self-regulation. But I am very hopeful. I still think that we humans have made these changes. I don't think the current generation talks about the way we talk about 50 years back, Yamuna was like this. What one is seeing today is believing that that's the best for them. We used to go out, play out. There are no playing spaces today, many things. But things are not that bad. It's high time, as I said. We have spoiled. We have, Mr. Ravi was showing you the slides, how we are overusing the planet. So it's high time within those parameters. If we can, now you can't ask people who have already used the resources, but at least there is a way where we can, with minimum resource, get maximum output. And what is that way? Technology. Technology is there. We must make use of the technology. And, you talk about 3 Ps, 5 Ps, whatever it is, profit, planet, people, and all that. But ultimately, we'll have to balance somewhere. Otherwise, 50 years from today, again, we'll say that, Indus Valley, I guess, that point of time, 250,000 people, 5,000 years back, a very good livable city. Where is that? Same thing might happen to today's Dubai, if you grow like that. So it's about time that we walk the talk, we do, and rules, regulations can follow. But whatever we have today must be adhered to. The self-discipline is the best discipline, because we make law, then we ask people to follow the law, and then if you don't follow the law, then what happens? This is a thing needs further debate. So I had one more hand. Last, is there anybody else? Please, mic here. Any other questions? So this is the last question of the session. Yeah, please.
So, thank you very much. My name is Sandeep Srivastava, and I come from Ambuja Cements. And this question is related to, of course, we are part of the circular economy, utilizing a lot of waste which are generated by other industries, like there was an example Mr. Kalra has given for the paint sludge. And there are a lot many other waste which have been coming to cement industry today, both for utilizing as a fuel, so as an alternative to fuel, also a lot of raw material which otherwise would have been used, and we have been utilizing the fly ash and slag from the power plants and also from the steel industry. So in a way helping the biodiversity, otherwise there would be some exploration going on some other place. And also the waste would have been dumped there somewhere and having the land and all. So this is one side of the spectrum. Of course, we are also part of the IBBI of the, and wants to do many more things in the biodiversity arena also. But my question is related to some of these efforts that has been very much confined and limited. When we talk about the corporate sector involvement into biodiversity conservation, that too may be related to some law and doing some kind of funding to the wildlife department of the state government just to meet certain requirement of taking clearance, but just remain there. Not anything concrete in terms of directly playing part in the terms of the biodiversity conservation, whether it's ex situ or in situ conservation, whether upkeep of zoos or maybe going into some piece of land in a sanctuary or national park. So maybe some of these avenues, if they are there, and I'm sure there are many more corporate would be there, they would be interested in terms of playing bigger part than whatever part they've been playing right now. Thank you. Just to the panel, I would say.
Yeah, Kalra Sahab, yes, please.
Hello. I think what you said is right. Whatever we are talking is just 5% of the entire problem. Okay, and even if it is resolved, it doesn't. And one of our friend was asking about legal this thing, then the lady talked about what government should do or something. I think the problem is of civil society. Problem is of my generation and my previous generation. Okay, 5 years prior to today, we were not even talking about it. Okay, we were creating a mess for tomorrow, but we were not talking about it. There has to be a mass movement. Okay, as society, we have to say no to those government officials, politicians, or those who are not ready to support us. If that is not happening, nothing will change. I mean, what we are expecting is that we will keep on creating mess, and somebody will resolve it. Somebody will come and solve it. I mean, go to a party in the evening, what mess we create, next day morning we expect somebody will come and clean that whole thing, and then everything will be fine. I think it's a mass movement, this thing, no? How many of our children study biodiversity? Do we know meaning of biodiversity in Hindi? I mean, if I ask, I think many of us will not even know that. No? So this is 1% of society sitting and talking about it will not make difference. No? Okay. I think we all have to stand up and say, okay, but very strong feeling, the current generation, okay, the new generation, okay, they will challenge it. And once you start challenging, a minor difference by all will make a huge difference. No? I mean, go to any field, you find polythene on everywhere. Okay. What are we talking?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kalra. Mr. Ravi Singh.
Very briefly, the three questions are actually interrelated. The one about design in urban and glass and all that. But just as an aside, madam, don't be worried too much about glass ceilings. If it was not there, you won't be able to break it. So, in a way, it's good. And glass, by the way, yeah, but by the way, glass is not a bad element. You can recycle, and you can recycle it again. And if you design it well in the Indian way of architecture, maybe it will set aside well. But your point is well taken. I've followed this this sector now, this discussion, this spirit of what you're talking about for the last 2 decades. It was very difficult to get a company, a corporate, or a business house to support biodiversity or conservation, anything to do with the environment outside the confines of their area. Even there, it was a problem. I mean, Mahindras themselves talking about the fact that they were not worried about water. There was plenty of water. And now they're saving 75% of that water in the current situation. In the last 10 to 12 years, the dialogue has changed. I was in a CII function in, I think, somewhere in the Hyatt or somewhere, where we were discussing that the business of business is business. It has nothing to do with social investment, because that is the government's remit. From that point, we started talking about shared value, and from then we came into CSR. And CSR, then we brought in, the country's governance brought in, the pillars which related to things like environment and water and conservation. If you compare this to other countries and see where it is, particularly developing countries, it's a huge change. And it may be only for us in a lifetime, in 10, 20 years or so, but for a nation, it's a big change. At the same time, you're talking about actionable aspects of biodiversity conservation by allowing corporates or other business houses or other institutions to be able to contribute to biodiversity in a way that they can take on, say, a national park or an area or somewhere it could be actionable and they can see the change. This idea has started taking shape. And I would request very much that some of us, and it's better if it comes from the other side, if 5 or 7 people in this room would get together and like to take on something which is well thought out, an actionable mission or a method by which you would like to participate into this. It's better coming from that side than coming from, say, somebody like me. And that will start making the change. Even this aspect of why Delhi is such a mess, you know, as compared to what it was 30 years ago. Actually, the issue is that can we, since you are from Delhi University and there's all this, both ideas, can we get these ideas together? Let us try and draft what we think should be the framework.
Thank you, Mr. Ravi Singh. I think
for the future.
We can close it at this, because I guess there's one more session. So give me a minute to conclude. Nature has no waste. Let's learn from it, all companies. And what Mr. Ravi Singh is saying, he has been part and parcel of IBBI. Let IBBI become stronger. Let it be platform for the companies, by the companies, of the companies. Don't drag government there. Don't drag anybody there. Please build it, nurture it, and do it. I mean, nobody is going to do it. CSR is a milestone. Biodiversity, interconnectedness of life forms has to be beyond CSR. Please bear this in mind. But if you always talk about, ecological rate of return, I guess it will be definitely better than internal rate of return if you take it holistically. That is what circular economy is. And we have not been able to communicate biodiversity. That fault lies with the science, those who talk about biodiversity. I think it's more about interconnectedness of variety of life forms. We have to preserve, protect each and every life form. So that's it. With these words, let me thank CII, Team CII, led by Seema Arora, Deepak Judeja, then Arnab, and all Team CII. All the participants, a big hand to all of you, and the distinguished panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience, and thank you so much. Long live the interconnectedness of life forms. Long live circular economy. Thank you so much.